These sunglasses are going to have to come off because I can't see a damn. Oh, hey, I think we're live if I see it right.
It
What?
said it.
It says we're live, and I think we are live. Mark England, what is up, brother?
Dude, all kinds of interesting things. And it's even more interesting in a tracksuit.
It is. Life is more interesting. COVID-19 is much more interesting in a tracksuit. I'm just saying. My friend, it's good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, man. You know, if I go to the post office tomorrow, our man Rick, his track. I've got his tracksuit. I've got his tracksuit.
Nice.
I've got his tracksuit. It was the last one of its kind on the reason. I got his tracksuit, man.
I'm telling you, I got to take these shades off. They look good with the tracksuit, but I can see nothing. So these gonna have to come off.
Fair enough.
There we go. All right. Now I can see it is in fact Mark England without a beard. So
Shaved
there's
it off,
that. Man. Yeah. And we're talking right before I hit the go switch. Hold on 1 second. I might ought to introduce you, Mark, because I'm talking with you just like everybody knows you, and I'm sure they do. But for those who do not know, Mark England is the co-founder of Procabulary. He's also the co-founder of Enlifted, two awesome programs that we'll talk about in just a second, as soon as we find out why Mark decided to kick off the COVID-19 apocalypse by shaving his beard.
I made a mistake. When I screw up, I own it. And we were giving a webinar for all of the athletes competing at the Arnold up in Columbus, Ohio. And the week before, it's a branding issue, man. Most of our branding material is me without a beard. And I like having a beard, especially when we enter into Armageddon. It's just one of those things, man. And I'm out in the country, dude. You know, if the apocalypse descends and you're in the country, you better have some facial hair, because it's just, I mean, do I even need to explain myself? Anyway, I had a conversation.
And you are in Western Virginia, so I'm just, I'm not going to stereotype or anything, but you know what I mean?
Hey, man, I'm in a one-stop-light town. I'm 10 minutes outside of a one-stop-light town, and we have a Chinese food restaurant called China, so nobody gets confused. It's a true story. One stoplight. There's a Dollar General. There's a Food Line, and then
I know those places. I grew up in one of those places. So
yeah, it's real. So the COVID-19 would have gone very different if I'd have kept my beard on. I know it. I apologize to everyone who's in quarantine now because I dropped the ball.
Well, that's okay. You know what? You did society a massive favor by finding these tracksuits. And the company reason. Okay. So everything evens out. If you want a tracksuit, and we had big plans to cover the entire Paleo FX floor with tracksuit wearing ninjas everywhere.
It's true.
Yes, it is true. And we're trying to blow this company up because they deserve it. I mean, blow it up in a good way, not in a bad way. But if you're listening out there, Reason, we have been trying to get up with you to help you out. Your customer service, man. You make awesome tracksuits, fabulous designs, and we just want to help you guys out, man. So if you're listening, get back with us. We'll help you out.
I've called them twice. I've sent them emails. You've reached out. Nothing.
Are they
okay? Let's just talk about the gorilla in the room. Are they cooler than we are? Are they substantial? They might be significantly cooler than us, and they know it, and we're just now figuring it out because we're repping their shit.
Christina Henke says you just need a Glock. Well,
Whoever just said that, I love you.
I am in Texas. Mark is in Virginia, Western Virginia. I think we got that one covered. But
we got it covered. We got it covered. Tuck inside the waist. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite comment of the year so far. And I've been on a decent amount of shows.
I love it.
What is Rick Hamilton going to do when he puts on his tracksuit?
You know what? I think he's just going to, what do you call that when an actor steps into a part fully and wholly? That's called method acting, right?
Method acting.
Method acting. I'm telling you what, there is going to be some heavy duty swagger that's going to be unleashed in Rick Hamilton. And I'm going to tag Rick in this. Rick is out right now. Where is Rick? I think he's buying masks of all things.
Okay. Here's my proclamation. I'm making a decree. I'm getting his tracksuit in the mail tomorrow.
Nice.
And I'll fast track it to you.
I will take a picture next to Rick in the tracksuit wearing my tracksuit.
He's going to need glasses. There was something I was holding out for. There's an accessory. This is a true story. Because I had one of these tracksuits. Okay, the one that I just bought him, and I gave it to Aaron Giannetti up in Columbus, Ohio. And I went to Party City. I was in there buying some balloons, and I had a beaded necklace with it had a big number 1 on it. So a 1 and then a hashtag on it. It looked like a Flava Flav medallion, and it matched the outside stripe on his tracksuit.
Nice.
The one that Rick's getting. Dude, it was perfect. And I was waiting till Party City opened back up so I could go get one and put it in the tracksuit. But I'm just gonna make moves. I'm gonna send in the tracksuit tomorrow, and then Party City will rise from the ashes. And I will go in there and I will purchase a tracksuit. I will purchase the accoutrement, his medallion. All right.
Shout out to Columbus, Ohio, home of the Arnold, and also home to Lewis Howes. In fact, went to the Lewis Howes show. Wow, that was the week after Burning Man. Yeah, that was
okay.
that was a show. Wow, trying to come back to that was an 18-hour turnaround from Mr. North to fly back from Reno.
Really?
18-hour turnaround, then fly back out to Columbus. I don't know why I scheduled that. Emily Johnson, that's on you for talking me into scheduling that. But yeah, it happened. But yeah, Columbus, Ohio. Wisconsin. Christina is in Wisconsin packing her Glock, I'm sure. I don't know what the gun laws are in Wisconsin, but I would imagine.
Cheese and Glocks.
Cheese and Glocks.
Lakes. Lando Lakes.
Cheese and Glocks.
Cheese and Glocks. Has that ever been said before? Probably not.
I don't think so. And speaking of words and combinations of words and words that can empower and words that can victimize, do you see how I slid right into that? Let's talk vocabulary.
Super smooth, man.
And
yeah.
beer, Christina said. Cheese, beer, and Glocks.
Cheese, beer, and Glocks.
My kind of place.
My kind of place. Yeah, man. Words. I was wearing different attire, 100%, and I was on a call with the sales team about 45 minutes ago. We gave an hour presentation to their crew, and we gave them examples of the variety of ways that people talk themselves out of opportunity due to a lack of education about how our language influences us and the people around us. Most people use their language accidentally, unconsciously, to make things harder on themselves, to paint worst case scenarios in their mind, to create excess indecision, and externalize, also known as giving away their power.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is we help people understand a little bit, maybe more than a little bit, possibly a whole lot more about how to use their words in a constructive, empowering way. So vocabulary is the flagship brand. It's the one for the general audience. And the elevator pitch is that it is a productivity tool to help people organize what they think and what they say so they stay focused on what matters to them, even in the apocalypse.
Even, and I think even more so in the apocalypse. It's
Even
when
more
this
so in the apocalypse.
really, yes,
Yeah.
because you can language around fear, and you can language to be fearful, or you can language to not be fearful. And fear, we know, has a massive impact on the immune system. Massive. So I mean, this matters, and it certainly matters. And I think most people, until you dive into this, and until you've, number one, worked with Mark, and you start to dive into this, and you realize how many landmines verbally you set, verbally and mentally, that you set for yourself, you just, I mean, I had a ton, and especially a ton around finances. And it's incredible. And once you start unraveling that and looking at it and see how you speak about certain topics or certain people or certain aspects in your life, you don't realize it.
Yeah. It's a very liberating and empowering and fun practice too. And you're right. It's hidden in plain sight. It's right under our nose, and it's right between our ears. And again, it comes down to a lack of education. I was an elementary school sports teacher before I got into personal development, the good attitude business. I have a degree in education, and I was also brought up in the public school system, like most people were. On both sides of that coin, so being in the public school system and then being educated to enforce the public school systems, we'll call it that. I didn't have one course, class, or conversation on how my language influenced my image of myself in my mind. Okay, I didn't have any training on how my language influences how I feel about myself and how I breathe. The main reason why I reached out to 5 friends in the CrossFit space and said, who has the best podcast in CrossFit in 2016? And they all came back and said, Barbell Shrugged. And one of them came back and said, oh, would you like an introduction to Mike Bledsoe? He's aware of your work. Yes, I would like an introduction to Mike Bledsoe. Very much, please. We get introduced. I go on the show. The reason I reached out, Keith, is because we had and have something to say about the connection between what we think and say to ourselves about ourselves and to other people and how well we breathe. There's a certain style of conversing, using language. When I say language, I mean internal dialogue and external dialogue, what I think and what I say and what I write. And there's a connection between those, that our language, and, like I said, how well we breathe. There's a certain subset of the English language. It's called conflict language. And when people use it, they create the extra drama. They create the extra indecision. They create the extra insecurity. And all of that stuff is stressful. And the breathing gets trapped in the chest. And that's a very not fun place to live. My business partner said, you know, man, if you're comfortable in your own skin, if you're comfortable with yourself, then you win. You've won. And in my opinion, a lot of the personal development, everything is going after that same goal of just feeling okay with ourself and in ourself. There's another way to use language that helps us talk ourselves into opportunity and create better mental imagery of ourselves and build ourselves up, energetically speaking, emotionally speaking, mentally, socially. And as that happens, we mature in a different way. We develop we develop differently, and our breathing descends down into our abdomen, where it should reside most of the time. If someone is in a red-lined, stressed out, shallow breathing, sympathetic nervous system response state, fluctuating, from here to here to here over a prolonged period of time, man, I mean, you are in touch you're in close contact and your friends and your colleagues with some of the most cutting edge doctors on the planet. Okay. They know what happens to people that stay under stress responses for prolonged periods of time. Not fun stuff, everybody.
And acute, you cannot make good decisions when you're stressed. I mean, that's the acute outcome, right? You can't think clearly. You can't tune into your body, all of the other senses that you have to help you make a better decision. Those are not accessible to you when you're stressed like that. And just think about someone in business, yes, but someone in this atmosphere right now where stress is just magnified times 10. You're isolated away from most people, away from their tribe of choice.
That's another thing.
I mean, it is the
perfect storm.
It's the perfect storm. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit, Mark, about one of the very, very basics, the difference between and but? And I love this because I think of improv all the time. And the only rule in improv is yes and. Yes and. You have to take the suggestion given to you. And I think that one thing just opens your mind to so many possibilities. It gets rid of the editor. It's just naturally running in your mind that can think of every reason not to accept what you're being told, what you're given. And this doesn't mean that you have to just accept everything that comes into you, but you are in a place now to where you can consider it.
I love that word, considering things, being able to consider things, creating the ability to consider things. So, yes, I can speak about the difference between and but, and I can make it fun. Let's make it fun. So, have you ever watched a woman receive a compliment that sounded like this? I like what you're wearing, but what happens? Does she receive that potential compliment, or does she focus on the last part of the sentence? That was a fantastic dinner, but I really respect your opinion, but I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I'm not trying to be an asshole, but right? And what happens is, as opposed to, I really like what you're wearing, and it was a great dinner, and the other ones were negations. I want to translate those in my mind, and we'll just keep it simple. I don't want to start an argument. And what it does, the difference between but and I got to get my hands right on this Zoom thing. This standby thing. I'm going with this hand, and it's like right. So there we go. So when someone says, "I like what you're wearing," but whatever comes after it is highlighted. Okay. It really cancels out whatever you said previously. She's not focusing, or he's not focusing on the compliment about what they're wearing. They're waiting for the second part, and they're not waiting, negation acknowledged, patiently. They are tensed up, tightened up, puckered up. I owned unpuckered.com, by the way. If I ever do a website, or excuse me, a podcast, it's going to be called unpuckered.com.
I'm going to hold you to that.
The Unpuckered podcast. Hold me to it. I said it. It's true. And the person is bracing for impact. You're doing a great job here, but tense, tight. And just like what you said, we do not make good decisions when we're stressed. Translation: we make bad decisions when we're stressed. And another thing that our skill set, another one of our skills that goes down when we're under a state of stress, is listening. When someone there's a technical term for it, everybody. Look up amygdala hijack. Okay? It's a psychological term. It's been around for decades. When someone it goes into a stressed state, and the amygdala is hijacked, Their ability to hear you has gone so down. We have language that describes this. It's like talking to a what?
Like talking to a wall.
Talking to a brick wall. Yeah, literally. Everyone has had a conversation with a person who's extremely emotional. How well did that go? The person, in order to have constructive communication with someone, we certify coaches, and what we tell our coaches is that what you want to be very cognizant of is that your clients will be much more coachable, malleable, considerate, as in they're able to consider what you're saying once they're in a more down-regulated state. So this goes back to the breathing. Okay, it's very important. It's very important to breathe well, COVID-19 or no COVID-19. All right,
Exactly.
and I highly recommend people creating a breath practice for themselves. Just look into it. Do a week's worth of breathing. Just type in breath work session, breathing practice, pranayama. How do I breathe better on YouTube? And you might get 500 videos. You really might.
It is so true and so easy and so free, which is why I think it's discounted. I mean, it just, it's like diet and exercise, right? It's, if you could put those in a pill, everyone would take them. You put them in a pill and charge $100 a pill.
Seriously.
But the fact that it's free and accessible to everybody, it must not be worth it, or it must not be, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And this one trick, I think, is so simple that everybody can do, and it will absolutely change your life. It absolutely, that one simple thing.
That one thing.
And that is the very, 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 very top tip of the iceberg. There is so much more underneath that.
Yes. If someone has ever seen a baby breathe, they breathe in their abdomen. Okay. They are, I just said it, they're breathing well. And over time, as we inherit a language, because language is an inheritance, and there's some glitches in it. Okay, no problem, it's all good. And there's some landmines, to use Keith's language accurately. There's some landmines in it, and every one of those little landmines, or maybe not so little landmines, that we hit along the way, it's a micro stressing the system. And let's just say, over 2 decades, somebody has 20,000 micro stresses. This becomes home. You do not want your breathing. This is not where you want your breath to reside. Translation: you want to avoid creating homeostasis for your breath in your chest. You want to get, and it can be a. There is work to be done going from a chest breather to an abdominal breather. Okay, you will have to practice. You will have to do breath work sessions, and there's usually some story work involved too. You're going to have to resolve some stories. You're going to have to. This is my personal and professional opinion. Take it or leave it. You got to go into the stories that caused the lockup in the first place and unravel them. There's a variety of ways to do it. There's plenty of ways to skin a cat, and you got to go in there. Most people fight it, or most people run from it. You got to go in.
That's so true, Mark. And we live by stories. I mean, you can either live by the stories other people tell you, or you can live by the stories that you create. But you're going to live by a story, one or the other.
100%.
Yep.
I was asked on a recent podcast, why that is, and I said it's life or death. Okay, it's life or death. It's so hardwired into us on a DNA level. As soon as we come out of, and it's probably happening before. Okay, we can hear voices through the womb.
Right.
Let's just say as soon as we come out of the birth canal, and these huge creatures that are responsible for us living or dying based on if they feed us or not and clothe us and take care of us are making noises at us and at others, and we're just staring in awe. Okay, and as we're immediately we're trying to connect dots between what the noises mean, how to say make the noises and what they mean. And we don't have. I mean, did you decide to learn a language? It's like did you
Absolutely not,
decide to
yeah.
learn to walk? It's
Right.
as natural as walking. We know we have to do it, otherwise we're in deep poop, deep doo doo. Okay, and most people get. I did this, you know. I've been in the language game full time professionally 13 years. I'm 43 years old. So let's say 30. At 30 is when I started practicing professionally. Whatever. 30. I started unraveling my stories. Most people, we get this storytelling mechanism, the language, the words. Take the words and build the stories and say the stories and think the stories, and we get so wound up before we even know that we've got options.
Mhm.
We've got a lot of options. I know this for fact, that I have the ability to disagree or agree with anything that shows up in my mind. Just because a thought shows up in my mind and it sounds like my own voice, does that mean that I should believe it? I used to think that I did. I mean, truly, man, how seductive is our own voice in our own mind? It might be the most seductive thing on the planet.
Right.
And all it is they're possibilities, they're options. I walk around and I'm like, nope, no, and this is when I'm listening to myself as opposed to talking to myself. Those are two different things. I have a self-talk practice. We can talk about that too. And most of the thoughts, I just consider it noise. Okay. I will disagree with them. I will ignore them, and I will seed my mind with things that are more productive or supportive. Am I 100% of the time?
Right.
No. I had a temper tantrum about this whole COVID thing. Okay, and I've felt it all the way through, man. I let myself have it. And Joseph Campbell said it. He said, and he's right, that any emotion felt all the way through is bliss.
Right.
Okay. I am very not much at all up for prolonged bouts of low grade anxiety. Nah, man. Let's get this thing over with.
Right. Get through
Let's
it.
get into it.
Dig into it, let it settle, feel it, and find the underlying cause and roll on.
Thank you.
Yep. Man, I had the most beautiful question in my mind, and it totally vanished. It had to do with Mario Martinez. Are you familiar with Dr. Mario Martinez?
You have sent me information on him, and I have yet to check it out.
It's absolutely spectacular. The mind body code, it is amazing and so very true. And I think the basics of it here. So we've talked about and but and how simple that is, but how powerful it is. And that's something anybody can start using right now today in your own language. Just consider what comes out of your mouth. The other part of this is if you speak a second language or another language, consider how differently you think whenever you're speaking that other language, because that culture is wrapped into that language. Now, I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I know enough Spanish to where if I'm listening to it or attempting to converse in it, I think differently. Totally differently. And because the culture is wrapped into that language.
Yes.
It's fascinating. All of that culture, all of that seeding is wrapped into that, and that affects everything about your entire system. Mario Martinez talks about how people present disease in different cultures, because there may be a disease that is unknown in their culture. and it just doesn't present. And that sounds woo, and that sounds, but it's freaking true. It's amazing how much power your mind and vocabulary has over your reality and how you act and how you perform and all of this. I think it's truly amazing. And I would highly suggest, even if you're very, very critical at this idea, give Procabulary a look and check it out and just see if it doesn't change your life completely. Start with maybe before you even sign up, I don't know, start with the and but thing and run with that. Listen to how many times you say but and try to drop an and in there instead. It's difficult. It took me a long time to catch myself. And I thought I was very open-minded, and I had already kind of been through the whole idea of, I get improv. I'm totally, so in brainstorming sessions in business, it's yes and, yes and, yes and. I'm not letting the editor get in the way. This is a brainstorming session. Yes and, what else you got? Yes and, let's run with this. And even for me, who had prior practice in that in my daily language, when I was outside of that scenario, there was a hell of a lot of butts being dropped. There was butt after butt after butt.
Butt after butt after butt.
Right.
It's there's a challenge. It's challenging at times for sure, and it's also very rewarding. And if you make it fun, if you turn it into if you gamify it,
right,
then it makes it that much easier. And a couple of experiences. We say this. I'm saying it again. Is that one focused, clear, different conversation than how you would have previously stated something, and you experience the difference in yourself, and you watch the other person react differently, and the conversation takes a different, more constructive, mo better outcome. And you're like, oh,
it makes a difference. I'm telling you,
it totally does.
Personal experience. Let's shift over to Enlifted. So where does Procabulary diverge into the Enlifted program?
Got it. So Procabulary is where we started, and Enlifted. So Mike Bledsoe and I, we spent a lot of time together. We did a couple of workshops, and had fantastic outcomes. People loved it. It was a combination of story work and breathing and some movement, and everybody at the end was like, wow. So I call up my business partner from Procabulary, the great Adam Chin, the man behind the chair. And you know how every movie has a guy behind the chair making sure everything in the chair, making sure everything happens out there, and he's one of those. And I said, hey man, let's talk. Let's get Mike Bledsoe on a call and talk about making a mini course for the fitness industry. Cool, great idea. So we do. Mike says yes. We meet up in Los Angeles and script the way of the Enlifted athlete. We thought it was going to be a mini course. We turned it into a full-on course. It matches perfectly. Both Procabulary and Enlifted courses. They're 21 days. They're both online. And then, dude, get a load of this. I don't know. I think this is the first time I've told you this. We rented Jack LaLanne's house in Palm Springs and shot the course out there.
How perfect.
I know. We shot half the course out there, and then we shot the other half in Richmond. Jack LaLanne's house, man.
I can imagine the energy in that house.
It was cool. It was a really cool spot. So Enlifted is it is Procabulary. It's storytelling for the fitness industry. People talk about mindset a lot, and that's super important. And as opposed to most people's advice or approach to mindset is strictly macro. Never give up.
Right.
Okay. I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Right. Lots of willpower.
Okay.
And
lots of willpower. No pain, no gain.
Right.
Right. And those things tend to break down under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did is we created a course that helps people understand more about the words and the stories to create those big picture macro mindsets. And we killed some sacred cows, man. We totally did. Here's one of them: no pain, no gain. No pain, no gain.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, what if it's a ruptured disc? What if it's a torn labrum?
Right.
You know? So what we did, language, everybody. We went from no pain, no gain to no pain, no gain. NO pain to KNO pain.
Mm-hmm.
KNO pain, KNO gain. Because I know you know this story very well. As if someone wants to have a long career in fitness and athletics, they're going to have to make some decisions on the way about when to upregulate their training and when to downregulate their training based on the signals that their body is giving them.
Right.
Is that just crazy talk, Keith Norris?
And if you're not listening to your body, you are not going to make the right decisions. I know from my younger days, man. I Vicodin and Novocaine, get me in the game. Bam! Don't listen to the body. Numb it.
And what happened?
And you get broken fast.
Fast. It's a great recipe for a short career. I did that.
Yep.
I did that. I halted my competitive mixed martial arts and kickboxing career because I was so uncomfortable stopping and being a little not being in the gym and training as hard as possible was terrifying for me, because that, my friend, might be proof that I'm not good enough and that I'm weak and I'm scared, which is what a large part of the reason that I push myself so hard to prove to myself that I wasn't those things.
Right.
It's just ridiculous. And it all comes down to the story we're telling ourselves.
Yes. There you go. It comes right back around to the story. Right back around to it.
Yeah, and we also put skits into Enlifted. Because, what do they say about the two great healers, Dr. Laughter, Dr. Sleep?
Mm-hmm.
We could throw in some Dr. Hydration and some Dr. Great Community and a couple of other things, and you've got a recipe for longevity, health, and a kick-ass life.
Right.
Laughing is important. Laughing is important as when we're reorganizing how we think about ourselves. And so we incorporate here's my promise. If somebody takes the Enlifted course and you don't laugh 30 seconds into the first lesson, Road to Hell Motivators, message me and I'll figure out something to do to make it up for you, because you're going to laugh because it's funny. I'm
quite sure between you and Mike Bledsoe, there was some laughter moments in there.
Dude, we've got outtakes, man. We've got one. There's deadpan. Are you a big fan of like you've seen the movie Airplane, right?
Oh yeah.
Leslie Nielsen, he's the OG kingpin of deadpan. Okay, Naked Gun.
Right.
Naked Gun 33 1/3. He's like, he catches the hand and then the other hand comes up and smacks him, and he's like, dude, I never appreciated deadpan for what it is. It's hard, man. We have it was like lesson 17 or 18. Let me remember the language. We were busting on something like go hard or go home. Mm-hmm. And it was the line was, when I talk about this nugget of wisdom, and when I say nugget, I mean butt nugget. And then I just roll on into the net. I couldn't do it. I locked up laughing. We had to take 18 takes to get that thing. For me to just cruise right through the whole thing, because I had to deadpan it. butt nugget. Who says butt nugget anymore? We put that into the course, dude. And when I mean butt nugget, when I mean nugget, I mean butt nugget. We'll make an outtake of that eventually, Keith, and I'll make sure you see it.
Nice. I love it. So how do people find out about either of these courses, Mark? I know Melissa do you remember Melissa Wilbert when we were eating ribs?
Yeah, of course.
She was the lucky young lady who got to be sandwiched between Mark and I in tracksuits in Austin. Yeah. I'm sure that's burned into her memory.
As it should be.
As it should be.
As it should be. Is she taking the Enlifted course?
I don't know. We'll have to ask her.
Ask her, because I sent her one complimentary for being such a good street soldier. Yes, everybody. Go, here's what you do. Go to enlifted.me and watch the complimentary free lesson, Road to Hell Motivators. Okay? If you laugh, which you will. If you find the information valuable, which you will. If you find the information relatable, which you will. Keith, what magical code do they put in?
The magical code is, in fact, in the description.
Good.
I have no idea what the magical code is.
Yeah, there's a discount code. You know, Keith and I we're friends, and we're also allies. So there's a discount code for the course. It's in the description, and you will get a good percentage of the total cost off, and it'll make it that much easier for you to say yes to. And that same code will work for vocabulary as well.
Awesome. And Melissa says she's working on vocabulary right now. Right.
Good stuff, Melissa.
Yes. She's having to do that to cure her PTSD from the last time we were out in tracksuits. Yes, we did get some attention. Yes, and we did get plenty of attention. Yes, we did. As well, we should. Hey, Auralia, did I pronounce that right? Auralia is asking what's on your sleeve, Mark.
Oh,
look at that. Looks like snake skin.
Fake anaconda. And it's on the
nice.
I gotta get the thing right. It's on this, and I've got a picture of, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
A picture of Caesar.
Look at that.
On the background. This is 2018 vintage Reason tracksuit.
You know what?
Keith has got vintage 2019 vintage tracksuit. These are both Reason tracksuits. The Reason, and he's got the R on his. They're out of production.
Oh, that's a sad.
They're now they're collector's items.
But and see, there it is. And I know they have some new rocking styles there too. So
they come out with some really interesting stuff. And I am once we get off this call, Keith, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna write down. If I write something down, it happens, folks. If you write something down on paper, it goes up in the likelihood of it transpiring goes up 1,000%. Interesting study. Only 3% of the population has any written goals. That means 97% of the population doesn't even have a draft to hand in. Even if it's half of a statement about what you could do next month on a cocktail napkin. Pick up your pen and write down what you want to do with your life. Write down what you can do with your life. Write down what you could do. Get it on paper. Write it out conversationally. It's a big deal. We're spelling.
And I'll tell you what else, Mark. Verbalizing it out loud. And it doesn't have to be to somebody. Better if it is to somebody. But verbalizing it out loud helps you embody it.
Yes.
Right? And that's huge. So it comes from... It removes it from up here, puts it right down here. It embodies it. I got that from Ta Whitty and Cole Whitty, who I think I've introduced you to them, Mark. If I have not, I will. You need to be on their podcast too. I need to circle back around with them on that.
Happily.
But yes, and Mario Martinez would tell you the same thing. Write and say, write and say, write and say. You have to embody it because otherwise it's just kind of in the ether in your head. That's a good first start, but it's not going to solidify it in your body.
Listen to Keith, everyone.
Free advice here, man.
Free advice. Free great advice.
Start with and but.
Start with and but.
And then continue on with the why do I have such a hard time saying it? Vocabulary?
There you go.
Start with that course, then move right on into enlifted. Awesome. Mark, it was great talking to you, brother.
Always great talking to you, man.
As always. Keep shaking up Western Virginia. I know you're doing your part out there.
Yeah. When
kid has come home from LA. Look what happened to him. We sent him out there and he was normal, and now look at him.
My dad has seen these tracksuits. He's like, the hell's going on there, man? You think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. When Rick Hamilton gets his tracksuit, take a picture and plaster that thing all over the internet.
You better believe it. You better believe it.
It's going in the mail tomorrow.
Awesome. I cannot wait.
Keith, I love you, buddy. Thank you for having me on the show, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll I am so looking forward to Tracksuit Sunday at the next Paleo Effects, man.
Me too. Keep your fingers crossed for July. Right there. It's gonna happen. Positive thinking. By the way, in closing, Lynn Marie Morsky moved here to Austin. Although I haven't been able to see her much, I love her too because of all this craziness. But she is here now, so we're gonna have a big party next time you come into town, brother.
There's a lot of cool kids in Austin, man.
A lot of cool kids.
Like half of them.
Right. Bryn lives in Austin now, so yeah, part of your enlifted tribe. So yeah, all the cool kids. Needs to be you next, Mark.
Twist my arm.
All right. Mark, thank you very much, brother, for coming on. I love you, my man. Keep doing the good work, and I will talk to you soon. Everybody else out in Paleo FX land, I love all of you as well. Keep fighting the good fight. We are going to get through this. Hashtag Tribe Strong. Hashtag Become Hard to Kill. Keep rocking and rolling. We will talk again very, very soon. Bye.